What is guilt tripping? Guilt tripping is a term used to describe a manipulative tactic where one person uses guilt to persuade another to do something or to feel bad for something they have or have not done. The intention behind guilt tripping is to make the person feel responsible for a negative outcome, even if they have no real control over it. Guilt tripping can occur in personal relationships, workplace situations, or any other context where one person seeks to influence the behavior or emotions of another. Guilt tripping can take many different forms, but the basic tactic is to use emotional manipulation to make someone feel bad about their actions or decisions. For example, a parent might guilt trip their child by saying, "I work so hard to provide for you, and you can't even clean your room." In this scenario, the parent is trying to make the child feel responsible for the parent's hard work, and to feel guilty for not doing something that the parent believes is their duty. Another common example of guilt tripping is in personal relationships, where one partner may try to guilt trip the other into staying in the relationship, even if it is no longer healthy or fulfilling. For instance, one partner might say, "If you really loved me, you wouldn't leave me like this." This type of guilt tripping places the responsibility for the relationship's success or failure solely on one person and disregards the complex dynamics that go into building and maintaining a healthy relationship. Guilt tripping can also occur in workplace situations, where a manager may use guilt to pressure an employee into working extra hours or taking on more responsibilities. For instance, a manager might say, "We're really counting on you to finish this project on time. If you don't, it's going to reflect poorly on our team." In this case, the manager is using guilt to make the employee feel responsible for the success of the project, even if the employee does not have full control over the outcome. The problem with guilt tripping is that it is a manipulative tactic that can lead to feelings of resentment, anger, and mistrust between the person doing the guilting and the person being guilt tripped. Guilt tripping can also lead to unhealthy patterns of behavior, as the person being guilt-tripped may feel compelled to take actions that are not in their best interests or to compromise their own values or goals. In some cases, guilt-tripping can also be a form of emotional abuse. When one person uses guilt to control or manipulate another, they are taking advantage of the other person's emotional vulnerability and undermining their sense of self-worth. This can lead to a cycle of abuse, where the person being guilt-tripped feels trapped and powerless to change their situation. To avoid falling into the trap of guilt tripping, it is important to recognize the signs of this manipulative tactic and to take steps to assert your own needs and boundaries. One way to do this is to communicate openly and honestly with the person who is using guilt tripping as a tactic. Explain how their behavior makes you feel and assert your own needs and desires in the situation. Another way to avoid guilt tripping is to take responsibility for your own actions and decisions, while also recognizing that you cannot control everything. When you take responsibility for your own actions, you are less likely to feel guilty or responsible for things that are outside of your control. Ultimately, guilt tripping is a manipulative tactic that can have negative consequences for both the person doing the guilting and the person being guilt tripped. By recognizing the signs of guilt tripping and taking steps to assert your own needs and boundaries, you can avoid falling into this trap and maintain healthy, fulfilling relationships with others.